Welcome to Scarves and Spikes.
Hello to all the Atlanta United fans. My name is Jürgen Damm, and you are watching Scarves and Spike, an Atlanta United podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to Lionel Messi's 13th favorite podcast in the world, Scarves and Spikes. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Ready for game 3. Tyler, how about you?
I'm here. Ready to get to some soccer.
How are you doing, Tommy?
It's been a lot, right? I mean, we didn't know what we were going to be going into the situation. Me and you were the negative ones and said, Atlanta's losing by 2. They're out the door. And we got to give Tyler his props. He said Atlanta United was winning. I hope you bet it. I know you didn't.
I even said 2-1. I got it right.
You said 2-1. You got the game right. Guys, sports is so crazy. I'll tell you a quick story before we get started. So today I had to go get a stress test done on my heart, and the lady's like, I had my Apple Watch. She's like, does your Apple Watch ever like give you alerts that your heart rate's high? I'm like, it's only in one place that it ever does that. She's like, where is it? I go, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And she's like, she had no idea what I was talking about. I go, anytime I go into that stadium and I go to a Falcons or Atlanta United game, this thing's pretty sure that I'm dying. I'm going to have a heart attack by the end of this one.
So, stress test, is that what happens when you get old?
Apparently. Well, I kept saying I was young for it. And like, if you ever have to get a stress test done, it's wild. Like, they're like, we got to get your heart rate up to 160 beats. And I'm like, okay, well, that can't be that hard. Let me tell you, at 9:30 in the morning, when you're there, they're hooking you up to all these machines like you're Iron Man, right?
Yeah.
Or like Bane. Like Bane, you have those things where like it's going to shoot the stuff into you. It's not like that. They get you on a treadmill. I'm like, oh, I could do a treadmill. Starts going on an incline. And it's going a little bit faster. And then it's going a little bit more. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, it's going to go so fast that you can't run. You just have to walk fast. I'm like, okay, this is easy. It was like one of those cartoons where like you see the person like trying to run as fast as they can and then they fall off the treadmill. And as soon as it hits 160, the thing stops and you have to run, lay on a bed, and then they like ultrasound you. They put like this goop all over you to do an ultrasound of your heart. It was an experience. I still got the goop on me. I didn't shower, so don't judge me if you see goop on me. Anyways, it's been a day, but I will tell you, it did hit me again though in the car, which is the point of this conversation. I'm driving home from the Oregon-Michigan game, go Ducks, and I'm watching the game while I'm driving. Don't do that if you're a teenage driver and listening to it.
Or any driver.
I was listening. Sorry if you're a policeman in Ohio listening to this. Unfortunately, I keep forgetting to turn off my alerts of that because like it didn't seem to do this in the regular season, but the MLS app tells you ahead of time that there's a goal happening. It always used to be pretty quick. Like it like we'd be in sync. Like the goal would happen, Apple would give you the alert that the goal did. It's been ahead of time. I saw that we scored, and I was like, "Is this right? Is this right?" And then it went in, and I got the alert on my watch, like for one of the first times not in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, because I heard that crowd. How many people were in that crowd?
68 and a half.
Well, Taylor Twellman was calling it 69,000 people, and he said it at least 69,000 times that there was 69,000 people in that stadium. If you were playing a drinking game with Taylor Twellman, saying how many times was he going to say how many people were in that stadium, you would be in the hospital at this moment because that's all he kept saying over and over and over again. But I will tell you that the crowd was actually what gave me the heart rate going up, because Tyler, I'm coming to you in a second here, but just listening to it in my car, hearing and seeing the fans going crazy was amazing. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna lead us to you. I'm leading into you here. Just tell us what it was like, if for people that weren't there.
Yeah, I think we've all been there, right? Whenever, especially the early years, when you have those moments where it feels like a wave. It feels like it's building and it's building, and you feel like something's about to happen, and then it happens, and the subsequent noise just hits you like a brick wall in a good way. It just hits you, and then all of a sudden you're on your feet, you're yelling, you're letting out all this energy, you're contributing to the energy. I talked about it a little bit with John this morning on Soccer Down Here, but this stadium and these stadiums, they're designed to elevate that kind of crowd noise back down to the field. That's what they do. And it felt like Atlanta was already kind of building off of it after the Derek Williams goal. But when this one happened, I'm up in the press box for this one, but thankfully the windows are out up there. We are a part of the environment and everything. It hit, and I made it a point. I saw it hit the back of the net, and I made it a point to just glance down, and everybody is on their feet, jumping up and down. And this is not the normal, hey, we scored. This is like, it felt like a weight just falling off everybody's shoulders, and they were just able to go at it. And when I tell you, I know we throw this around, and on this, I say we, I mean, journalists, pundits, everybody throws this around fairly often, relatively often. But that stadium on Saturday night was 2018, 100%.
I wasn't there, of course. Tommy, you weren't there. But I see Matt saying his Apple Watch was giving him decibel warning since Saturday, and Jack in the comments in the chat saying he got just chills watching the Sunday goal. Granted, he was watching in England, but I wasn't there. I kind of heard the discussion from Taylor Twellman talking about 2018 and 69,000, whatever it was. I was in the building for MLS Cup 2018 when they won. I again wasn't there on Saturday, but I would imagine it was as loud as that. I don't know if Tyler, you could kind of attest to that.
So I actually reached out to the stadium. I haven't heard back yet. I wanted to find out, because I think most folks have seen it. If you haven't, there's a screenshot. I wanted to get verification on it, but basically is supposedly showing the decibel readings from inside the bins. 115 decibels, which 30 seconds of that is enough to cause permanent hearing damage. That is 25 decibels away from the sound that a plane makes on takeoff. I was trying to verify and get statistical records, trying to see if they even keep that, of 2018 MLS Cup, of some of the Falcons games over the years, some of the Atlanta United games, MLS Cup, Open Cup, all these big events that have happened, and just kind of compare the noise and see how loud was it, relatively speaking. But it passed the ear test. It passed the eye test. That place, I'm telling you, when that goal went in,
it
felt
I'm just kidding.
Beautiful. It felt beautiful. It was a moment that you just had to be there for. But if you've been there in 2018 or 2019 or 2017, you know what it feels like. And that was definitely it.
And the fans have been crying out for something like that for ages. I mean, I don't know, Tyler, how many times you and I have gone to the stadium, and it sounds like a morgue in that place. The fans are barely interested. I mean, you have just some pockets of noise throughout the stadium, but not a lot. It was just sad because knew 2017 and 2018, and a good friend Colonel was there. He's saying this as much fun as could be had at a soccer game. And he was there for 2018. This is something that fans have been crying out for ages, and just kind of take a look at
ages and years are a little bit of a little bit of a difference. Just
well, you know what I mean, though. You know what I mean. They haven't had the opportunity to cheer that loud, and they haven't had much to cheer about. This has been just the balance of it has just been a really rough season, and there haven't been a lot of things to cheer about. I mean, outside of the TRA goal against Toronto, I feel like, granted, I wasn't there for that one either, coincidentally, but
I think we're figuring something out here.
There's something happening here.
I think we're figuring something out.
I'm washing my hands of this whole conversation. No, but
when I fly in, they win.
Right. No, but I heard Taylor Twellman mention it. It kind of ties into what we were just talking about. MLS is better when Atlanta United is good, and when at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, it's at kind of like the fever pitch as it was on Saturday. And you really hope that in 2025 that is the norm rather than an exception. You know, the league is crying out for a team, I feel like, Atlanta United to be successful and really live up to the expectations that it places on itself, and not just that it places on itself, but the fans place on it. And Saturday was a picture of what it could be when this team is actually good, and that's why we'll talk about all the off-season stuff when the time comes. Who
hopefully
comes
not
in
too soon.
Hopefully not too soon. Hopefully not for a few weeks yet, but. This fan base is just crying out for a good team. This is not a fan base that doesn't care. This is not a fan base that is apathetic toward the fate of Atlanta United. They care. They absolutely are bought in to this club, to their success, and it just needed something, a spark to get them going, and that was it on Saturday. And you hope from a team standpoint they can carry that on to Saturday in Fort Lauderdale, in a stadium where pretty much everybody will be there to see Inter Miami move on. On Apple TV, pretty much the whole world will be watching Messi. But Atlanta United have a chance to quiet that, to shut those fans up and say, hey, we're not just here for fun. We're here to actually win this thing. And if they win on Saturday, who knows what could happen? The matchups, and not to get too far ahead of ourselves, the matchups are rather favorable. You just got to take care of business on Saturday. And at this point, who would bet against them? Really?
I don't bet on this team because I have no idea what they're like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, right? Because you go back to the past couple months, and it's like, okay, this game's a must-win. It's a must-win. And they threw a stinker down, there. It was like Nashville, right? We're playing Nashville in that game. It's like, okay, worst team in the East. We're going to get this. And you come out flat. And something has turned on them. Their backs have been against the wall for, 4 games now. Going to decision day, you get that in, and then you go to the 1-game playoff. You put on a hell of a performance in Miami, right? An opportunity that you could have at least scored 2 goals. 3 potentially. You had the Silva TRA in the box. You had opportunities in that game, so let's not pretend like it wasn't close.
Right.
Got real scary there in the first 20 seconds of the game, but then after that, things calmed down, and then you come here, and I'm thankful, very thankful. The main thing that I was thinking was when that goal went in for Miami was that Brad has done so much for this team in the past, specifically in the past month, to either keep them in games or win them games, that I didn't want the season to end because of that.
Right.
And the team rewarded him by being able to tie the game with Derek Williams. We have been waiting all season for that header, right? He had been getting close, right? You could tell he was getting frustrated all season that he wasn't able to finish. He gets one in, and then at the end there, we said, I think I said it last week.
Natural striker.
A decision maker. If there was a decision, a player that was going to decide the game, that it would be Silva. We've been waiting for him, and we don't know how healthy he is, but he was able to come in again, and this time he was able to finish.
I pushed back.
No Spider-Man mask, though.
I pushed back on you about Silva, didn't I? I pushed back on you last week about what will his impact be, and if it doesn't work, you're kind of the villain in that case, but it didn't work. He scores probably the biggest goal of his career, the biggest goal of his career with Atlanta United, and he really puts himself back in the good graces of the fan base. I mean, he's been kind of beat up because of his form, or that's because of his foot,
he's
or
been
whatever.
beat up because he's been beat up.
Well, yeah, but no, you know what I mean, though. Like his form hasn't been great throughout the season. You've talked about this before about how he came in last year was on fire, and he has been anything but in 2024. So really happy to see him get that moment in front of the fans. The celebration. I saw people complain about the celebration. Like, why? Why are you complaining about the celebration? I mean, the man's happy. Let him celebrate however he wants.
Calm down, Pineda. Don't get upset about that.
I
did think that for a second.
Yeah.
Like, just I went full last year. I was like, Pineda's watching this somewhere going, there's another leg. What are you doing? Once you get another yellow, you don't
Let
get
him
suspended.
Celebrate, though. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I see our good buddies Battered Herons. I'm not keeping my shirt on. Nobody wants to see me without my shirt off. But if I'm in that position, dude, I'm tripping out. You don't even know what to do with yourself at that point. Like in such a moment, that is and for everything he's been through,
right.
That's huge. And I know, like, we have some other folks that have been listening lately, especially now that Atlanta is in this position against Miami. Sean De Silva has had a rough season. Came in hot last year, had a rough season this year, like you were talking about. Not injury prone. He's just had a lingering injury all year.
Yeah.
He deserved this. He needed this, and I'm excited for him because that moment right now in the very young history of Atlanta United is easily one of the top 5 moments.
Yeah.
Because of everything that it meant. You had, and you going back to your box of chocolates reference, right? Like Atlanta's been, yeah, absolutely. You never know what you're going to get, but somehow we found the box that like got the extra like macadamia nuts, with the chocolate drizzle and all. Don't make that face, Tommy. We found the right box. They're doing, at least for the past four matches, roughly. I mean, I know we lost to Miami, but it was a good effort.
Yeah.
You found the right box. So take advantage of that momentum, take advantage of that emotion like we've been talking about, and build off of it.
Here's the big question, though, and I don't know what you guys think. There's going to be a lot of emotion on Game 3 on Saturday. You're going into the stadium. You're going to a hostile environment. Pretty much 99% of the crowd will be against you. How do you handle the emotion? How do you handle, hey, we won Game 2. We now have a situation where this is essentially a knockout match because loser goes home. How do we handle that emotion? We've never been in this situation. We haven't been in this situation, Well, you have, but
a week ago.
Yeah,
like a week and a half ago. You were just in it. You had a bunch of angry Canadians yelling at you.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you're in the situation against the team that most everybody picked to win MLS Cup, if not get out of the Eastern Conference. And now that you see Columbus having been upset by the New York Red Bulls, you kind of start to think, hey, maybe we can do the same thing. How do you keep that emotion measured? How do you keep your head on your shoulders? And we talked about it with Jason Longshore on Monday on our MLS show. And he said, guys like Rob Valentina and Brad Guzan are going to keep them from letting the moment get too big for them, because that they're going to go in there hopefully and say, well, not it's just another match, but they're going to go in with that same mindset, chip on their shoulder, FEA. But at the same time, the lights are going to be bright in Fort Lauderdale. Stars are going to be out. I mean, this is Messi. This is South Florida. This is worldwide match. People are going to mainly, like I said earlier, be watching for Messi. Can they move on? Can Messi move on? Can Inter Miami move on to the next round? How do they handle this? It's a big question. And I like to think that there are leaders in the locker room that can help them kind of going there with a level head on their shoulders because they know even though they're the underdog, they have to put out a performance again that belies that underdog spirit, and they're going in with a lot of rest. Well, not a lot of rest, but
I mean, you have the veterans, right? I mean, I feel like they've proven. You have Brad, you have Dax, you have guys that their message is going to be, I think, different than what it was in the regular season. But you've got guys that they've walked the walk before. Both of them have, and it's not just them two, but it's definitely them two, especially. I mean, I think the kind of mindset that they've taken on, the approach that they've taken on as leaders has been exactly what the team needed going into the playoffs. I mean, decision day as well, but going into the playoffs. You showed that a week of rest didn't kill your momentum. And now you have to show again that a week of rest, if you can play with rest, similar to how you did at home, sure, but with the same mentality you showed in Miami and in Montreal and in Orlando, you have a pretty good chance. And then going back to like what Battered Hammers were saying, like Atlanta's been good against Miami. Yep. So you have at least that kind of bogey team kind of mentality going against them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's teams throughout history that just defy logic, right? And you look at them and you look at what their salary is versus their, the big team salary, and they end up pulling it out here. I mean, this is going to be probably the biggest upset ever here. This, and like people, I've seen people online that maybe just don't follow Atlanta United as much and like trying to downplay it, but it's not. Like, you sold your two best players, right? You sold them in the summer, and you replaced one, right? But you also got rid of your Caleb Wiley, right? You replaced him with a guy that no one really knew who he was. Everyone knows who he is right now. The guy's putting up assists almost every game, right? And they're beautiful passes. And all of a sudden you're like, what is happening here, right? And if all of a sudden you can get your wings to start being consistent, you can get Silva on where he was last year, right? He's getting healthy. Saba gets his opportunities, right? When Saba gets hot, he can get hot. The Rios, Tiare, as soon as we said we had two real good guys, it started going downhill. I think when it was like, I think when Garth said, like, these guys, they haven't done a lot, but if you can get one of those guys to do something, then it's game on. Then you really have an opportunity to do something here. And seeing that from Silva is all of a sudden going, Silva can do this again. And he did it. He did it last year against Miami. He scored against Miami at the Benz in that game. And it would get wild, right? And then if you get the number 1 and number 2 seed out, right, then what else can
wide
happen?
Open.
Right. Then everything's wide open and everyone in the East is there. Now, Apple might shut down. Apple might just shut down the entire package, right? Because I like you say this, and I say it as a joke, but they've got to be worrying because right now you've got your darlings, right? The people that I don't know. I'm not going to talk about Miami teams because I don't know how much Miami fan or New York fans, watch MLS. I don't know all about that, but I will talk about the Crew. Obviously, get people to watch. They're defending champions. People are going to watch them. Miami's also like, that's the world buyer, right? Everyone, if you're outside the country, you're buying it to watch Miami.
Messi, yeah.
You're watching Messi. And then you got the LAs, right? I mean, the LAs are obviously two huge markets. Well, they're one market, right? One market, two teams. And you knock out all of it on the East, all of a sudden those people that already bought that package are just, Apple's already got their money, so it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
But the ratings go down. I don't know if they care about ratings at this point because it's Apple TV, right? And they've already got your money. I know they do, right? And they want to show that. They'll show how many people watch this game. This is going to be a very watched game across the world, right? We said that game 1, right? Because it was in New York and every Apple store there. This game's huge. This game is going to be big. And for all those players, right? Someone hopped on Spaces and was like, I didn't know Brad Guzan was 40. Like, he thought he was like in his 30s. Just then he lost his hair early 30s. then all of a sudden, all these players, right, are becoming the talk of it. And Atlanta United we've been saying this for years, as this team's been bad. The league is better when Atlanta United is good, right? I stick by that statement all the time. It's better when Atlanta United is good. And 69,000 people said over and over and over again by Taylor Twellman. What did I say weeks ago? You get the entire stadium, 70,000 people in there, right? Apple's going in there and is taking as many photos as they can because that's how you sell the league. You take 70,000 people and you show whoever it is, this is MLS. This is how many people can go into one stadium that are interested in one game. And that's what they did on Saturday. That's what the fans did. The fans showed up. The fans were loud the entire game. And damn it, I was so happy for Arthur Blank. Like him, you can see Garth Lagerwey too. Like you see Garth in there
and Josh
and everyone. Yeah. But like you see, like Arthur's got that dance, right? He's got that. He should patent it because that's like I've seen him do it before for Falcons games and all that. But like, it's good to see that man happy. He got to do the spike as well. That was super cool. But like, this is different. This isn't Columbus last year. I was there for that, right? It was a Wednesday, and I complained about it for that entire week that it was on a Wednesday. This was on a Saturday. And your fans showed up, and there were Miami fans there too. But damn, that is how you sell this league and make it better by having 70,000 people in there. So I'm starting to sound like Taylor Twellman in there, and just showing it to anybody, right? Because people outside of MLS don't think of it as 70,000 people coming to watch a game. A lot of people think it's minor league, right? Like that's what people think of MLS.
So writer in Atlanta pretty much called it that.
Everyone's got that Euro snob that works at your office that is going to say, hey, Atlanta United won? Who cares, right? I went and watched something on Peacock this weekend, and it was way better than what you can have. You all know a Euro snob, right? But that one there is going to rival anything that you see there because that stadium was crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to shut up now. I've been ranting too much, and I'm out of breath.
Add on
I'm excited. It's been a long time.
Good reason.
We've started this podcast, and we've had not much to be excited about. We have sucked. I started to think it was us for a long time. We're good now, so we got to enjoy it while we can.
Good for ratings.
But no, I mean, like, it was also just like the total environment. You had Pastor Troy came in, did a little pre-match thing. Then at halftime, you had them franchise boys and Bone Crusher that had like a halftime performance, and it was like, this is Atlanta, and this is Atlanta soccer, and this is what can be had in a place that 10 years ago nobody thought would ever be a big deal, right? And I asked Rob, one of the things I asked Rob at the very end of the press conference, partially because I knew it was the last home game no matter what, and we don't know what's going to happen with Rob next year. And
you guys are asking questions if they win on Saturday.
And there's definitely everybody's asking in the chat, and I definitely want to get to that kind of question. I guess maybe to lead into it, however we want to go. But I asked Rob, like, what does it mean to you being the guy that has been here for so long? He's been with the club for so long, and he has been an interim coach before, and then he's interim coach again.
Yeah,
and he has this moment in a playoff game, in a do or die playoff game, in front of almost 70,000 people at home, just like it was back in the day. What did it mean for you? As I'm getting ready to ask this question, right? We're in the press conference room outside in the hallways of the Benz. All you hear is ATL. Yeah. I mean, people are dancing, people are jumping around. I mean, the hype was real.
Yeah.
And he said it was exactly what I dreamed it would be. He said, I remembered, back to the days when we had Joseph and Miggy here, and you would see them break on a transition or a counter. Yeah. And that energy that I talked about earlier, that kind of vibe that built up, and then, that shot is taken, that goal goes in, and the whole place erupts. He was like, that's what I remembered, and that's what I wanted. And he got it. And I'm happy he got it, regardless of what happens with this man next year, going into the offseason next year. I'm so happy that a dude that has been here for as long as he has got rewarded in that way, because it was a reward. It was a truly special moment. So super excited for him.
It's a reward for the whole team too. I mean, they've been fighting and grinding this for weeks, like Tommy said, for weeks, and they got the reward. The job's not over yet. You got to win on Saturday against Miami, but it's good at least to have your fans get that last memory of 2024 in that building of a win, especially given what the fans have been through for the balance of the season.
Yeah, 100%. And I thought this when I was in town about a month ago. The worst thing in the world when you go to a sporting event, because when I was at the Michigan game, there was 110,000 people at that game, which was gross. It took me forever to walk out. It was all Michigan fans, so they were all depressed, right? And it's just like, all right, it was just dead quiet. They're all just depressed at everything.
Yeah.
But when I was in Atlanta, when the Falcons won, it's a long walk. If you're at the top of the stadium to get all the way out, and then you got to walk past the Falcon, go to wherever you're parking, right? If you lose in those games, it's just depressing. So many stairs to be so sad, right? So many stairs to just go, man, when are we going to get good again? But I remember walking out of that Thursday night football game, and it hit me like, man, this was like walking out of Atlanta United games. Because like you said, the fans are chanting ATL, they're singing. They're doing everything you can. And then you get out by the Falcon, right? And it's a whole new party out there. I don't know if they do it all the time for Atlanta United games, but the Falcons still had a DJ going at 11:30 at night. And people are just dancing there, having fun. And it's good. I'm happy that the Falcons are enjoying it. And I'm hoping that what we got this past weekend at Mercedes-Benz Stadium is what we get next year for Atlanta United. Because that stadium's so nice. And it's so much nicer when you have happy fans in there. And both teams Atlanta United starting to turn it around. I think we've been hoping that, and we're hoping that they take that next step this offseason. The Falcons have taken that next step, winning the division by 2 games.
Yeah.
Go Falcons. It's just good. It's great to see that stadium the fans being happy there, because really it's been since 2020. It's the place of sadness. There's been nothing really there. The occasional win here and there is cool, but most of the time we just haven't been good. And now it's starting to change again. And it's also helping Arthur's pocketbook as well. I mean, fans are getting there. I saw tweets. We saw tweets months ago that said people were opting out of their tickets.
Yeah.
I saw on Facebook, a Facebook group today, someone's like, I just opted back in. Like that's what that one game did. It's crazy what happens when you win. You pull that wallet out and go.
But it's
I
also
want to come
crazy.
back every week.
It's also crazy, like what the vibe of a win will do, because it's to me. I remember the first game that I went to, and it was when they won. The goals that they scored, it wasn't something that left me immediately. That feeling didn't disappear after the goal. That feeling followed me home for days. I remember thinking like, dude, that was off the chain. That was next level. Like that was the best kind of adrenaline rush that you could ask for. That's what you get inside the bins when that place is firing on all cylinders. And that's exactly what happened Saturday night. I think the biggest message for Rob to the guys has to be, dude, FEA, put that hype video, the nonstop access video on the TV in the plane, put it on repeat all the way down to Miami. Remember what it felt like.
Yeah.
That goal went in Saturday night, and carry that on to Miami.
So one of the things real quick about Saturday, this coming Saturday is something to monitor for Inter Miami Busquets. The health of Busquets, I should say. He's not been training with the team. They said that he had an illness for game 2. Tata apparently said he had a knock for game 1. If he's not able to go, that's big for Atlanta United, and a big point of discussion what that midfield looks like without him. Obviously, he's part of that big 4. Well, Messi and then everybody else, I guess. But that top tier, second tier, but there's a chance that he might not go on in game 3. So that kind of adds a layer of intrigue to Saturday's match in Fort Lauderdale. Is he going to be able to go? How does Inter Miami kind of handle the emotions of game 2? You saw Messi and Alba having to go at each other, Suarez having to go at his teammates about what was going on, just inability to convert chances, inability to be clinical in the key moments. How does that carry on to Saturday? How did they handle the emotion? The pressure is all on them. They're pretty stacked between. I mean, it's started to feel squeezed a little bit. They didn't expect this to be a 3-game series. They expected it and feel like everybody else did to be over in 2 games. So how does Miami handle that pressure? Who has more pressure? I think it's Miami.
Miami all day.
Again, they're expected to make quick work of Atlanta. I think we all thought game one, when Suarez scored within the first couple minutes, this is it. Miami's going to roll in game one. They're going to play Atlanta to pitch in game two. That's going to be it. It hasn't been that. And now the pressure is solely on them going into game two.
Yeah, I mean, the league goals, Miami isn't a good defensive team. They've allowed the same amount of goals that we did, 49. Like, they have leaked goals throughout the season, right? I mean, if you've watched a Miami game, there's plenty of times you could look at it and go, oh, Miami's losing, right? Oh, Miami's losing. And then you walk away, you go to the bathroom, depending how long that bathroom trip takes, you might come back and all of a sudden they scored 3, right? But defensively, they have leaked goals. It's just they have a lot of talent that they're able to come back from those, right? They just have that talent to do it. So it's always been their weakness. And if you don't have him available because pneumonia, right?
Yeah.
And a knock. Maybe both.
Right, but pneumonia, like the question is how long can he go? If he is available, how long? I mean, I am not an athlete here, okay? But having pneumonia there is a hard recovery just in general with heavy breathing, right? Your lungs are still recovering, getting back to normal. That's a hard thing to be able to go, specifically in this sport where you really don't get a lot of breaks, right? Especially being in the midfield. It's going to be real hard to be able to recover from that and be able to go 90. So they've got that question, just as we've had the question with Silva here, is how much can, hey Bonnie, how long that you can do that, right? How long can you come back in here and be able to be helpful for this team? Yeah. And when do you do it? Do you do it at the beginning? Do you do it at the end? What do you do here? It's going to be a hard decision for them for sure. But like you said, all the pressure's on them. All the pressure is on Miami here because we've been playing with house money here for a while. And they're going to be the story, right? The story. And hockey, the President's Trophy for the best overall record, they choke a lot. Most of the time, they do not win the Stanley Cup. This team is the best MLS team ever.
Yeah.
And we just saw the salary guide. I don't know what the salary per salary goes. But if we're going to be fair here, how many times have we gone in to the seasons over the past years where we've been bad, and you've had Taylor Twellman talking about what our salary is, right? How much our salary is compared to a team that we lose to, and go, this is embarrassing for Atlanta United. Their salary is this much, and Vancouver's is this much, and Vancouver beat them. It's the only nice thing I'll ever say about Vancouver. I don't know if Vancouver's beat us in a while. It's going to be the opposite. It has to be the opposite, right? It has to be. You're going to have to talk about it, that their salary was this, plus all of the Adidas and all the Apple subscription things that you're paying Messi. And here's Atlanta United, one true DP on your roster. Just one. And a bunch of TAM dudes.
And giving them hell.
The best team ever.
Right.
Disney is going to buy the rights to this movie. Apple's going to get. They don't need to buy it. They own us, basically. Apple is going to make a movie about us. Either that or they're going to cancel us, right? They're going to cancel us for good for ruining their cash cow. What are things that are going to happen if they end up doing this?
So here's a question that everybody is asking, right? And I think you guys know where I'm going.
Yes, that's not the question I'm pointing to, but Derek just said 2018 Atlanta runs Miami into the ground. I totally agree with that.
I agree. Yeah. Here's a question everybody is asking. If Atlanta United wins on Saturday, is that enough to have a larger discussion about Rob Valentino getting the permanent job? I think you do. I think that's not to say he gets the job 100%. Go. What you got? Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's a hard conversation. It
is.
is because I've been anti-Rob, and it's not, and it sounds bad that I say that. So Rob, if you're watching, I'm not anti-Rob. It's just I was more that you needed a change in the organization, right? And I think a lot of people agreed with that. But if Bruno's in here, he's always on Spaces going, but what if, right? What if? And for so long, because we had so many mixed performances, right? I mean, let's be honest. Since he's taken over, it's been a mixed bag, right?
Yeah.
It's been ups and downs. But he's been very straight with what he has said about this team. He calls out the shit performances because that's what they are, right? They're real bad performances. We've had some real bad ones, right? You get a couple good ones, and everyone's like, all right, Rob's going to be here, right? Robbie got that conversation with Rob. And then you have 2 bad ones or 3 bad ones, and it's like, all right, we're getting rid of Rob. But you've created this new add-on to your resume, right? Because if you're going in for your interview, because it's a finalist, right? Vieira is a finalist, right?
Yeah.
Well,
allegedly.
Right. If he's a finalist, but if Rob comes in, right? Well, thank you, Atlanta United. You have already created my resume for me. Play the hype video that you just released 2 days ago about that game. That's his resume. That's what you play there, right? Or you do the one that was in Montreal, or you do the one that was in Orlando that they made, because that's what he's going to show, right? The quotes from the players saying that Rob gets us and all this. And like, I get it. Like what some people are saying, that maybe this is a Pineda type situation where, you know, that win gets them some extra time, and you might be in a Manchester United situation where they keep you here and he's gone in a month into the season, right? Like there's a little bit of worrisome here. Like people are saying that Rob's tactics aren't good enough, right? For this team. We need someone to be a little bit more creative. We've seen that, right? We saw those tweets. I responded back to Zilf. He talked about it yesterday. Like, I'm happy for Rob, but that's going to change. And it's a hard decision. It really is a hard decision for Garth Lagerwey here to whether to keep him or not. I wouldn't want to make that decision because it's going to be... I'm watching Manchester United in real time do this exact same situation, right? I've been saying that the situation between Atlanta and Manchester United have been the same, right? Like, you got that win against Columbus, right? So you got that round 2. Well, in their situation, they win the last game of their season, win a trophy, and now we're keeping him because he was going to be out the door, right? Hag was going to be out the door, and he beats Man City, and then all of a sudden he gets the job, he keeps it, right? And then he's out in a month. I don't want that to be a Rob situation. I don't want that to happen, right? You're on your way up. But that's not what I get paid for. I just get paid to say, you screwed up later in the end, right? You screwed up on this decision. I don't know. I'm definitely more than what I was, obviously, a month ago after the Nashville game.
So
right?
Yes
like,
or no.
he's got to go because he's honest, right? Like, he's very honest. When like they came out and had a bad performance, he's like, we worked on it all week. It's embarrassing what we came out and have. Like, I'm happy that he said that, right? Like, he called those guys out, and they had some good performances. They made it in, and now they're having some real good performances.
So yes or no?
Oh, I'm not answering that. Right.
Flip a coin.
I'll tell you on Saturday on Spaces around 11:30.
Cop out.
So, I mean, technically, the question was, do you have the conversation?
Oh, I forgot the question.
Do you have the conversation? Yes.
The
Oh,
answer
yeah.
is
Well, I said he's
absolutely.
gonna have he's got a resume now. He's got the hype, the 3 hype videos of the last 3 games. That's your resume right there. You don't need to put anything on paper. You come out with, you put this all in a VHS cassette, right? And you just put it into that VCR in Arthur Blank's office and hit play.
Blu-ray.
Yeah, no, it's you gotta go old school VHS, and you play that thing and go, this is what I did.
Here's the thing, though. Sorry, Tyler. Here's the case against, though. Just while we're talking about it, is it we get the old conversation about how much of the performance is on the manager versus on the players. So the case for it definitely is he's been able to motivate these players to play beyond their means over these past few weeks. And why not give him the tools he needs to really put a stamp on the team with a new GM above him, with Garth above him? They're all aligned and ready to go with a lot of, with 2 DP slots available to you. Give him the tools he needs because he's been playing with a bare cupboard for much of this season. That's the case for. Case against is you have a lot of names that you could go after that are bigger and have more experience. And are you going to really hire him off of a string of results in the postseason? Now, that's not to say if he wins on Saturday, that's not to say he shouldn't move up in the conversation, but there has to be a balanced discussion around it. And there's precedent for this for Garth Lagerwey, although not to this extent because the Sounders were a really good team after they let go of Siggy before Smetzer took over. So they had a really good run of results. They got to MLS Cup. They won. The whole story. We all know the story. So there's some precedent over it. But this is a much different discussion, isn't it? I mean, this is a team that has put together a string of results, like I said, in the playoffs. And, if you win on Saturday, if you lose in the conference semifinals, do you still give them a shot? I would say no, based on that only. That being said, that doesn't mean that Lagerwey isn't going to say, hey, we need to really have a discussion about, okay, is this the best man for the job? The players seem to like him. The fans seem to like him. Where do you come out on that? So it's not as easy as people think. Sure, some people will say yes, some people will say no, but there needs to be that balanced discussion. I hope that Garth Lagerwey doesn't get caught up in emotion. I think he's smart enough to do so, but I like to think he looks at it from a really balanced standpoint. He says, hey, I have to make a reasoned decision, because the wrong decision, if he keeps him and Valentino ends up being a failure, you set your team back even more. So it's a discussion that needs to be had, sure, but it's not the easiest discussion. There's no right answer at this point in time, I think. Go ahead.
No, I mean, you can't make the decision right now in terms of like, oh yeah, he's got the job, right? Like you can't, that's not even going to be a decision that's made until after the season is officially over. He needs to be in the conversation. And I think you have to ask yourself 3 things. 1, your pool of candidates that have applied, and then Rob. Do you see Rob elevating this team?
No.
In a similar way that you expect somebody out of this other pool of candidates to do?
Yeah.
If your answer to that is yes, and I think it should be, then he has to be included. Now, then you say, all right, is he a man manager that can get the players to get on board with whatever it is he wants to do? And I think we've seen the answer to that is yes. And then the other question is, can he handle the tactics and the changes and everything else that goes along with being a manager?
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, that's where the biggest question mark is. So there is your big conversation, because from that final question, you have to ask yourself, does he get what he needs in the off season, and can he make that he gets in the off season into something way better than the sum of his parts, which we haven't seen from anybody, like from Atlanta, in a while, right? I think we can all agree. I said it at the beginning of the season. This team is far more talented than it has shown, especially to now.
Yeah.
And I see like some of the comments, like team saying he just outcoached Tata.
So let me ask you this today, as we're talking, if it's down to Vieira and Rob Valentino, who do you hire? You got to go with Vieira, right? Based on the experience that he's had.
Right? I don't know. I don't think so.
That's where I disagree with you. I mean, Vieira is vastly, he's been there. He's vastly more qualified at this point than Valentino. But that being said, Valentino knows the locker room. He knows the culture of the team. He knows the players. The players seem to respect.
Well, no, I mean, sell me on Vieira. I mean, if you're saying that Vieira is the guy over Rob,
won in this league before. Patrick Vieira has had a sustained success in this league before. So I think if it's down to Vieira and Rob Valentino, Vieira 100%. That being said, if they win on Atlanta wins on Saturday and by some miracle get to MLS Cup, 100% you have that discussion. 100%.
No, I know, but you're saying right now.
Right now. Vieira, 100%.
Okay, so I guess my thing is,
are you 100%? Hold on, let me ask a question. Are you? Let's do the percentage here. Are you deciding today? Are you just no doubt about it, 100%? Because you seem very confident. Because I'm going to give my percentage of where I'm at in a moment here. So is your percentage like 100%? Like it's
100%.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, 100% Vieira over Valentino today. What's yours?
I was going to say before this game on Saturday, I was probably 70-30 or no, probably 80-20. But right now I'm Rob's at 35% for me.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Like
you have to, you have to. I mean, what?
It's not a non-starter anymore.
But you look at the roster, right? Everyone agrees that this roster is, I don't want to say crappy. It's just it's not up to the top teams in the league standard, right? You have one DP. You have one DP on here, right? So that's hard, right? The top teams are there, but it's happening, right? Like you just saw. I don't know the DP situation for the Red Bulls, but they ended up in a best of 3 series, sweeping the Crew, which I don't know if that should have happened, but a little bit of luck, right? A little bit of the post here and there, or twice in a few seconds.
Wasn't luck in penalties, I can tell you that much.
Right, and you knocked out the defending champions. What can you do with the full roster here? I don't know, but I think part of that interview process, right, with anyone is that you go and you interview the players about Rob as well, and obviously they see it, but I mean you got to talk to some of these players as well with it, and you have to make a decision. You just don't want to be that team that goes and lets him go, and he goes and says he goes to another team, and all of a sudden he rolls with them, right?
Yeah.
Like that's terrible. And the Falcons have done that a lot. They've got rid of a lot of assistant coaches that are now head coaches in the NFL, other places that it ended up not working, because they didn't keep them. I just don't want to be that team.
Here's the wild card, though. There are still spots open in MLS. Dallas is still open. San Jose is still open officially. I mean, Bruce Arena has been heavily linked to that position. It's not official yet. So maybe another team makes a decision for them. That being said, Atlanta United can 100% match and exceed any offer that Dallas and San Jose make. So it's another thing to think about. Does he get hired by either of those openings? But at the same time, people are saying, what has Vieira won, right? But Vieira has experience at every level of football. But the question about him is, which kind of maybe plays into Valentino's favor, is look at the players he had at his disposal. You're kind of in that situation with Atlanta United. You have 2 DP slots up. You got to get this right first and foremost. At that point, you look at, again, who's a cultural fit, who will be a cultural fit. And when it comes to culture, Valentino by far over an outside name. That being said, you have to look at overall credentials. And if there's somebody with overall credentials, I think you have to go with that person instead of Rob Valentino. That being said, would it surprise me to see Rob Valentino being hired for the job for Atlanta United? No. Should it be him? I'm not 100% convinced. That could change.
Rob Valentino will 100% end up as a head coach somewhere. Whether it's here at Atlanta or not, I don't know. But I think, and I've said this before, because the question was, as of today, Rob or Vieira. And look, I've got no ill will towards Patrick Vieira at all, but I'm not incredibly impressed with what Vieira has done. And
why not?
Because I mean his record in Europe was just okay. He had
apples and oranges, though, to be honest with you. It's apples and oranges, though.
Well, okay, but then you go back to MLS. Yeah, I mean, you can never take away winning a title. You can never take that away, or doing what he did. But there are so many variables in that situation, and I think I even saw it in the chat a minute ago. Any coach that is the head coach of New York City Football Club, until they get their own stadium in a couple of years, it has the best home field advantage in Major League Soccer, period. Not because of the environment, but because of what it is. I just don't think you can, as of right now, break up what Rob has built with those players, because coming straight from the players' mouths, and I heard this when I was in Orlando, and I heard this when I was in Miami, and I heard it at the Benz the other night. They give the credit to him. This is his team. This is the culture that he has built out of a absolute crap sandwich that he was handed in the middle of the summer. Is he the best tactician? No. That doesn't mean he can't grow into being a very fine tactician. But also, he has come out and he's been, here's my word again, pragmatic when he needed to be. He's changed things around when he needed to. He's tried different things. He's said, all right, we have kind of what we want to have as an identity, but also like our team is, the roster is in shambles right now. So you're not operating with 3 DPs. You're not operating with what you should be as a big MLS club. He has been handed the dregs at the bottom of the teacup and said, go make more tea out of it. And he's got you a half full cup of tea at this point.
You're still taking a risk, though. It's still a big risk.
I mean, but it's all
being
a risk,
in for a whole season, though. I'm not saying it's a bad move. I'm just saying it's a risk. It's a risk. And Garth Lagerwey's decision is, okay, is this a risk worth taking with, Rob Valentino? I just don't want him to just say, hey, I'm just going to do the same thing I did in Seattle. Again, I'm not saying that Rob Valentino will be a good coach in MLS. I'm not arguing that at all. I'm just saying it needs to be, Garth Lagerwey needs to sit down and say, you know what, even with everything that's gone on, even with what the players are saying, is it worth the risk? Does the reward outweigh the risk of hiring Rob Valentino as our permanent head coach? And if he says the answer is yes, I'm all for it. Give him the chance with a fully stocked roster. That being said, if it misses, and if anybody else they bring in misses, it's going to set the club back. So he's got to think about that. He's got to take really emotion out of the decision and make a decision that's best for the club long term.
He doesn't even have his own coaching staff. I mean, they brought some guys in to help him, but he doesn't even have his own coaching staff either. Let's not forget about that. So he has an opportunity, if he stays, to create that. And someone brought the point about, it's going to be a different roster. I mean, anyway, so how does that cohesion work? But he was able to do that, right? Multiple times when this team was at its lowest, he was able to maintain it, for Pineda to come in, make the playoffs, right? That was impressive there.
Yeah.
And then right now what he's doing, if he beats Miami, man, there's going to be a lot of conversations about how Atlanta didn't keep him, right? No matter what happens. No matter what happens to him, he can go coach a USL team and get 0 wins that year. But they're still going to talk about how they let Atlanta let this guy go. Because that's just what they do with Atlanta sports. They're going to make sure that nobody forgets any silly thing that you did in there. But again, I'm glad that we don't have to make this decision, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's just such a hard decision there. Bruno, I'm not caving in, but I'm leaning towards it a little bit because of the situation, right? I mean, we were throwing in the hypotheticals. What if he wins MLS Cup? Like, we were doing this.
Hire him,
we were doing this in the summer, though. We were doing this in the summer. I remember walking on Spaces in shorts, talking to Bruno on Spaces, talking about this and saying, it's just, I don't see it happening with this roster. But now you did. But you were able to. You snuck in, right? And a lot of luck had to get you to sneak in. And there was luck in it, right? You had to get other teams to help you out here, right? You didn't control your own destiny, but you did. You still got in, and you still got this. You still ended up beating Montreal in Montreal.
Yeah.
You gave a pretty good performance in Miami, and then you end up winning here. I mean, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but like once you go into Miami and you win 3-0,
yeah.
right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I don't think that happens. But holy shit, if that happens,
yeah,
like here, well, they're walking by here. Rob, sign this real quick. This is your 20-year contract.
Yeah.
Right? There you go. Just sign this real quick. Just keep going. Doesn't matter what you get paid. You're signed.
You'll get nothing
term.
from Apple, but you're signed here.
Right.
Yeah. Apple's canceled
your
your post game press conference, but we're here. I mean,
yeah,
it's great though. Like we've got a ton of people in here in the chat. We've got tons of people that come in on Spaces. The comment section in scarfsandspikes.com. Go there, by the way. We didn't get to promote the website. Go there. I mean, all of this, like, this is what we have wanted here, is to be excited about something for years. And just being able to go into this game this week, and I'm not going to lie, because I've said for a while, like, oh, we're playing with house money. I'm not nervous, and I wasn't nervous about this game at all. I was just like, whatever happens, it happens. Now I'm effing nervous. Now I'm like, oh, and I'm going to be in my villain era with the Battered Herons on Saturday, which, by the way, shout out to them. If you, we've got a busy week. We had Henry, I think, was on there yesterday or Monday. He was on there. Sydney's going to be on Battered MLS later tonight. Tyler's joining them on Thursday night, tomorrow night. I'm going on after the game on Saturday. And if we win, just go to Battered Herons live post game, because I'm gonna be crazy. I'll
be wilding out.
It's gonna be a trip.
The friendship tested will be they're gonna hate me.
So I got a quick question. I just got a quick question. And what like if we're looking at it going forward from now to MLS Cup, with MLS Cup being he has the job, because you would be idiotic to fire an interim coach after he just won the title. I think we can all agree on that. But at what point does it get more or less locked in that you keep Rob because I do agree. I see like the comments, like you can't take a few games, right, and make a decision based on it, because yes, he's had a rough end of the season. The reason I say I give more credence to Rob right now is because I haven't seen, and I've seen the rumors, and I've heard things and whatever. I haven't heard or seen any name associated with this team that I just feel like hands down is better than Rob Valentino. And that includes Patrick Vieira. And it's not a knock on Patrick Vieira at all, because I do respect him as a coach. But this is not a Gallardo or a Bielsa or a Tata. Like, it's not, you're not having those kind of names associated with this. And because of that, you've already got half the formula already here. So if you can't find another name that really fits all the boxes, and we could argue Patrick Vieira all day, totally fine with that. I get it. But do you take a risk to reset it all again? Or do you let him keep doing what he's doing, have the off season, and then say, hey, dude, you are the guy now. What do you need to be successful?
Here's the thing, though. You're probably going to gut like half the team. You got new players coming in who have no idea who he is. So maybe that's a case against two.
I beat Miami.
I don't know.
Sorry, saying like a Batman voice. I beat Miami.
Yeah, I mean that's
this dude. He beat the best MLS team ever in a best of 3.
Yeah. No,
Did you watch it on Apple TV?
I get it.
Oh, you're from Europe? Yeah, you probably bought Apple TV. You watched it, right? Oh, you didn't? Okay. We'll give you a free subscription now since you play for the team.
Free 99.
What were you going to say, Sydney? You had something you were cooking up.
No, I was done.
Okay. No, I mean, I think, I told Henry the other day, I was like, we're going to have this conversation on the show at some point, whether it was today or whenever. Hopefully we have many more Wednesdays to talk about the team still in the playoffs. And I'll be the first person to tell you, and I would tell Rob, because I like Rob. I've liked what he's done as far as motivating the team, and the players have responded to that. They've said that to me, to us, to everybody. I love that. But results are results, right? Like, you ended the season and almost didn't make it in. And then we would be having a totally different conversation. But you've turned the miraculous thing into a reality. And here we are. And no, good vibes and Ted Lasso might not be able to carry you for years, but it's gotten you going somewhere. And with no like golden child sitting out there waiting with rumors from Fabrizio Romano, I struggle to be like, burn it all down again. That's my only thing. We'll see. We'll see. But
it's not to say there won't be names that come out after their season ends, but
you have, you had a lot of, I think, interviews during this past international break. Maybe you'll have some more during this upcoming international break. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe that's when we start seeing some more rumors. Yeah. Would love it. But man, it's a tough decision for Garth to make. And 3 weeks ago, it was a much easier decision.
Right.
Like, yeah, you had to let Rob move on, and Rob still was going to get a head coaching job somewhere. But now, like you said, Tommy, he has set himself up with a resume that speaks for itself. He has, you got the videos, you got the recordings, you got all the things that we report, that everybody's reporting about, like how he has taken a team that was just dejected. And he's at least got them believing that they can go and win the next game against the best team in the league. And there's something to be said for that.
Just continue. I know Sydney's the negative one in this group
I'm not
for right now. I'm just joking. There were a lot of stinkers in this reign as well. There were, right? You can't forget the past as well. Also, Omar brings here, is Chris Henderson confirmed yet? I don't think so. But
nope.
He's not confirmed yet. He might be. He might be getting an office. We don't know. Maybe they're cleaning it out for him and vacuuming it, getting it ready for him.
Not that it was any surprise, but I'm pretty sure he was here in Atlanta.
But I don't know. Maybe they're already having conversations about it, right? He's going to have to interview with multiple people, and Rob's going to have the interview, right? He's going to have the formal interview when it's time, but now's not the time for it. And I think that's why a lot of people didn't want Atlanta to be in the playoffs, right? And we're all, including me, right, going to do accountability. Like, a lot of people are just like, just get this over with, right? Let's start the offseason. Let's announce Henderson, because we got a lot of offseason, decisions to make, right? A ton of them. And now, everything about this is making it different. Brad Guzan, that's a whole different conversation than what we were expecting to have, right? Way different conversation than we had. Nobody would have thought we'd be talking about keeping him here. Amador, I don't think anyone really thought, next year he'd be the starter when he came in, right? It was depth, right? He was going to be depth here. Yeah. I don't want them putting someone else in there. This guy's legit. It's not a fluke what he's doing. He's a hard worker. Defensively, he's pretty good. His crosses are amazing. If he can keep that up, great. Ronald Hernandez, that's another conversation. He was all but gone, right? We all thought that, right, he leaves on international duty sometimes. He's a higher paid player. He had some kind of just very meh performances in the Open Cup.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about keeping Ronald Hernandez on here. It's crazy what a couple weeks can change on this. Again, and you got to calm down and you got to think about the bigger picture of everything. But right now, there's only one thing to focus on, and that's flying down to Miami, beating them, and being the talk of Apple, talk of the soccer universe, because that's what it's going to be. That's what it is. You beat Miami, whoever it is, right? And we don't want anyone else to take that glory. We don't want Charlotte to be the one that beats Miami, right? We don't want that conversation.
Or Orlando.
We especially don't want Orlando, yeah, right?
Nobody
having that conversation. No, you don't want those conversations. You want it to be Atlanta that's the one that knocks them out. We have that opportunity, right? And you can't have a stinker out there. You can't, because unfortunately, that's what happened last year in Columbus, right? You go back to Columbus for Game 3, and you got absolutely wrecked in that game.
Right.
Stay in the game. You have the opportunity. This team wears down. towards the end of games, right? Especially during close ones, the game just opens up, right? I think Taylor Twellman's just like, both these teams are just terrible right now. They're just giving the ball back and forth. Nobody wants it. Who's going to do it? Miami had a couple chances, and then all of a sudden, the right counter happened and game.
Yeah.
Silva calls game, and it's over.
Yeah.
That's what can happen. That's what happened at the end of Miami in Atlanta, a month ago or whatever it was. It was just wide open game, and you know what? Atlanta is when you have Miranchuk there that can just get that ball over to a streaking Silva, Wolf, right? He did it to Wolf a few weeks ago, right? And exact same result: goal, win, drive home safely.
So, what's your kind of prediction for Saturday then?
Who's
whoever? I was talking to you, Tommy, because you were talking, but
I'll go because I jumped in 2-1 Atlanta again. Should I expound?
No.
If you want.
I feel like I was ready for this. I totally forgot I did this. Apparently I said on the MLS thing the other night I was going to shave my beard if Atlanta wins.
Yeah, you did.
Tina's not happy about that. And Matt kind of coaxed. He tricked me into this, right? I saw his thing in there, and I was on the moon, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll shave my beard if that happens. So I guess I'm shaving my beard if Atlanta wins. It's going to be 3-1 Atlanta.
Oh my gosh. You think so?
Hey, they've done it once already.
I've had no alcohol in me. I've had no other things in me right now. This is pure sober, Tommy. 3-1.
Man. I'm feeling
follow that, Sydney.
I'm feeling penalties, guys. I'm feeling penalties in this one. I really am. I know
my cardiologist says I can't have those.
I know. But tell Atlanta that, tell Miami that. Yeah, I really am feeling penalties. It just feels fitting in this series. I think it's going to end 1-1 in regulation, or in normal time, I should say. And then I think Atlanta squeaks by in penalties. I think Brad Guzan makes 1 or 2 big saves to keep Miami off the scoreboard. I think Atlanta takes care of business to win in penalties. I just have that feeling that it will be like that. Neither team will want to. Miami will want to just end the game right away, but I think Atlanta United, if Miami scores, will kind of ride those vibes to fight back and score a goal to level it. Goes to extra time, or not extra time, goes straight to penalties, and I just have a feeling that Atlanta United will win the penalties, just to continue this wonderful run that they're in right now, and then facing either Charlotte or Orlando in the conference semifinals, which either way will be a pretty intriguing series. You have Orlando, the traditional rivals, and then Charlotte, the straight derby at Bank of America Stadium. I don't think either option will be a bad option, to be honest with you.
Well, let's continue your fan fiction. 2 questions for you.
Oh my gosh, come on.
Does Brad Guzan save Suarez's shot?
Ah, man. I have a feeling. Yes. Okay. Just a hunch. All right.
We're coming to the climax question here. Does he save Messi's shot?
Oh, man.
Now, Omar says on here, can we kick Sydney off the show, please? I don't think he doesn't want the things. So you can't let Omar down. Does I think he stop Messi's shot?
Messi scores, but I think
Suarez. Damn it, Sydney. We set you up to be the hero. We set you up for the clip that you were going to make on Sunday morning where you say, hell yeah, he stops Messi. And then it goes to the shot, and then you add Celine Dion music in it, fireworks, dolphins flying over everything.
We can still
you would have been the hero.
We can still do it if he stops Suarez's penalty. We can still do it.
But it's Messi's shot. That would have been so cool. Oh,
what if Messi?
Well, good thing this isn't live. We could re-record this, right?
Messi couldn't miss. Messi couldn't miss too.
Just saying.
It's way cooler. It's way cooler if our captain stops it.
Talking about self-destructing. That's all everybody's going to talk about. Messi missed the penalty to potentially put Miami through, and he misses it, or it's a crossbar.
Man,
gosh,
Miami in 2 games versus Atlanta United has scored 2 garbage goals.
No, yeah,
and 1 unstoppable goal.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there were mistakes involved by Atlanta, but every one of Atlanta's goals have looked like they've been good. They've been fun to watch, right? Like every single one of them.
Let's do it again.
Do it again. 2-1. Avoid the penalty bullcrap. Nobody wants to be a part of that again, especially now because you ruined the clip. No, go get that 2-1 or 3-1, whatever. I don't care as long as you're not on the bad end of the one.
Right.
And team has Messi scored against ATL in the game earlier this season. He scored the 1 goal they had, and then of course back in Leagues Cup when he first got to the league. That we don't talk about that game.
I don't even remember it.
Yeah.
Yes, he has.
So that's it. And Brad Guzan has been an absolute menace to Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
Absolute menace. He's paying him back for some things that happened years ago, but and he's doing a good job of it.
Yeah.
So with that, we do have to end with some sadness. The news was reported this week. Brooks Lennon out 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
With the shoulder injury. Dislocated shoulder, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So get better, Brooks.
Yeah.
Sad that you're not going to be able to be there for this game. Get better. That's going to take him around what? So November, December, January. So, I mean, he could potentially be ready for the season to start. Hopefully. Or it's going to be a little bit deeper into that, depending on how quick he recovers. But
I think March to May is kind of like that sweet spot, depending on how well it goes.
Yeah, but that's four full months is before the season starts.
Well, and that's the benefit, and that's one of the things I put in the article over on the website. But yeah, I mean, you have the benefit of it's here, whether it ends this weekend, hopefully not, or in a few more weeks, you're at the end of the season. You have a couple months of just holidays, just enjoying it. And those are where you really need to like not do much and let that thing just totally recover.
Yeah. You hope sooner rather than later. So yeah, get well soon, Brooks. Question about Steon too. No word on Steon. I think he's questionable still. So
yeah.
And Bruno saying in the chat, Leonard will be available for endless finals for Vancouver, unfortunately. So
I need to get my passport. I need to go to Vancouver for MLS Cup. That'd be crazy. And team asked, would you protect Brooks in the draft? I've seen that question a few times on Twitter, and it's been asked on here. Absolutely. He's an asset. Whether you want to move on from him or not, you can't afford to lose him for nothing here. He's a wanted entity in MLS no matter what. So you absolutely protect him. If you want to move on with him, you trade him and get something back for him. But yeah, you wouldn't let him go for nothing. Absolutely no way you could do that. But yeah, I think that's it, right? And we're not really sure what we're doing. We haven't really nailed it down on what we're doing. Or have you guys nailed it down now?
Tell them the options.
We had a couple options. We were talking about doing a Peyton Manning, Eli Manning watch along on YouTube. Invite some people on here to come on with us and talk about the game, or we might do a watch along with the patrons. That's what we've done, right? We've done that a few times. We've done it. We've won on those. Well, we guess we did lose that Miami one, but it was still a good time. So we're trying to figure it out here. We'll narrow it down here. I mean, we're running out of time. It's Wednesday already, but we'll get that figured out.
We'll let you know. Stay tuned to
social medias. Yep.
Yeah.
Will the Mannings be there? We're not sure. We could reach out to some of our Atlanta United friends. Maybe get like Garza to come hang out with us. He's probably selling ice cream.
Yeah.
Last time he was selling ice cream, it turned out well for Atlanta. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, Bonnie's saying shot. She came in once. She came once and was drinking during a watch long, and she never came back. So I'm glad she's still alive. So she made it back in here. But we'll get it figured out here. We'll put it on social media here in the next day or so. But thank you all for coming on. Again, I said it a little bit ago, but it's cool to see the excitement back in the fan base, right? It's rejuvenating. I think there's more to come here. I think we're going to continue to make this roster better. If you don't think we're going to, pay attention. The guys that are coming in are the ones that are performing in a lot of these games, right? Amador. No one really had high expectations for him. Right now, he's co-MVP right now of what's going on here. So things are going to be getting better, right? All the teams that play in the Bends are improving. Let's win Saturday.
Yeah.
One more time. Just one more time. We're going to try this. Sydney.
Yes, Tommy.
On Saturday, penalties. And Messi walks up to the spot. Brad Guzan wipes that little thing of sweat off of his head, right? There's no hair there. It's just
yes, I know.
And he goes up. Messi shoots it. It's
yes,
on
he
target.
says it.
It's on target.
He says it. Okay, he says it.
That's all we wanted. That's all we wanted. Get the clip, get it ready, get the dolphins, the fireworks, all of that. Hit the music. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. Vamos.
Vamos.
Thanks, everyone.
What's the dolphin noise? Like,
gosh.
Do it, Tommy. You went to try it. Do it.
The what? The dolphin noise?
Yeah, do the dolphin noise.
I made it.
Oh, you kind of faded out. Like
Can't
you
hear
No,
it.
I don't know. Maybe my microphone doesn't like dolphins.
The noise.
Yeah. You heard it.
I mean, we need to.
Wait, wouldn't it be funny if, like, in Miami's locker room right now, like on Saturday, they just show Sydney going, "Hell yeah, he's gonna stop that penalty." That'd be amazing.
All the motivation.
Don't blame me if they win.
Who
Look,
wins?
if
Atlanta wins, right?
Miami.
We're not
Atlanta wins.
we're not blaming you for anything.
We need to have a conversation about Waffle House hash browns again.
Now?
Again? Oh,
No. I'm setting the stage for the future.
All right.
Equal part 3.
We'll see.
Is that it?
Yeah, check Sydney out on Battered MLS and I don't know what time, 9?
10.
Oh, you're allowed to stay up that late?
Apparently.
Oh, hey, I'll give y'all a really quick, really fun
Are people
article.
still watching, by the
podcast.
way?
Yes, they are. Look, even teams given their proper hash brown orders.
Yeah.
Mother dice and chunk. Add country to that. Let's go. Michelle Kaufman, Inter Miami beat reporter. The name of this podcast, the Miami Herald, Inside Inter Miami. Season teeters on brink of colossal failure.
Teetered. What a word.
That's the pressure that they're under. Y'all are awesome. Thank y'all.
See ya.
Bye.
100 S&S spots for everyone still watching.